Hello and welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. As we start our fourth year, we're going to be visiting the Vintage Tea Leaf here at the corner of Bonito and Broadway. We're going to go in and we're going to meet the tea mistress, and maybe we'll find out how to brew a good pot of tea, and certainly high tea is one of the best ways to reduce stress. So come with me, we'll go find the tea mistress and we'll find out all about tea. Okay, here we are in the Vintage Tea Leaf, and here is our tea mistress back here brewing her tea.
Welcome to the Vintage Tea Leaf.
Thank you,
Nice
Beverly.
to have you.
Pronounce your last name so I don't mess it up.
Terfloat.
Thank you. You have a beautiful place here. Did
Thank
you design it and decorate it yourself?
Oh, there's the tea that's ready for us. Just before I answer that question.
How long have you been here?
I've been here almost 6 years, and the Vintage Tea Leaf had been a bit neglected before I got here, so I did all the decorating. But you'll notice when you're here with us today, we have a beautiful Italian marble floor. And I actually got an opportunity to meet the gentleman who put this Italian marble floor in 11 years ago when it was an Italian restaurant. And
This has been many things before, right?
It has. The first, the very first business that was here was a drugstore, and it occupied both spaces. And originally, when I started the Vintage Tea Leaf, I just took this half. But recently, I expanded to the other side, so now the building is all one, as it originally was.
Can we go in and see the other side?
Sure, you can.
Come with me. All right, and is this called the garden room?
This is the Vintage Garden Gifts, and as you can see, the building is so much happier because it was designed to be all one space. And so as I had to do some restoration with the next door, I had to do cosmetic restoration here. And one of the things that I uncovered was this beautiful brick wall. It was buried under several inches of plaster. But I think these older buildings with their lovely brick walls is a part of our heritage that we should try to preserve. Just as I restored the door and the picture window in the front so that it would be back the way it was originally designed in the late 30s.
As I look around, I see teacups and teapots, so a lot of the merchandise you have in the shop here is related to the tea industry?
It's related to both garden and tea. I enjoyed taking tea with both my grandparents, but as a child, my mother was an avid gardener. So I thought, in honor of her memory, particularly since we have so many avid gardeners in Long Beach, that it would be nice. And there's something that's very whimsical about taking tea out in the garden. So it seemed as if it would be a nice combination. Now when tea guests come, they can wander over to the Enchanted Garden and they can pick a teacup from my personal collection. Every guest that comes chooses a cup. They're all antique, bone china. Tea always tastes better in bone china. And then after they've selected a teacup, they can also come over and they can select a vintage hat or a boa. Much of taking tea here is about a fantasy. It's about stopping our humdrum demands of our daily life and just being, washed with the enjoyment and serenity of a good time.
As I introduced the show out front, I mentioned the fact that high tea is a wonderful stress reducer.
It is. When I used to do biofeedback therapy and stress management, I would say to my patients or clients that taking a special time out to be present with tea is a good way to lower one's blood pressure and to get harmony between mind, body, and spirit.
Now you do special programs. I know last month you did a Victorian Christmas tea.
Mm-hmm.
What other kind of specialties do you have, and do you have anything upcoming in the month of January?
Well, I frequently do special tea tastings so people can learn more about different styles of tea. I do classes on the art of afternoon tea where people can learn how to bake scones and make tea sandwiches, how to present a tea table. And then in February, I'll be doing everything about romance.
Because of Valentine's Day?
Well, because of Valentine's Day, but Valentine's Day was actually started in the Victoria era by women for their female friends. So I always do a Victorian friendship tea. So it's not only for women, but for couples as well. Last year, I received a really lovely write-up in the Los Angeles Times about this being the perfect space for romance. They talked about sparking a little romance with tea. But I do other events throughout the year. I do Irish teas. I do special teas for children. I do Peter Rabbit tea and spring teas and Southern Belle teas, and we just have a lot of fun.
Several years ago, I did a high tea at my house, and I think I had about 16 people there, and I don't think I've ever worked so hard in my life.
Tea is the most gracious and intense form of entertaining. And there's many accessories to tea, and perhaps today we can talk about those various accessories. It isn't just about, you know, how the table looks. Every accessory has a practical purpose. And perhaps I can share with you a special Christmas teapot that's hand-painted that was actually given to me by one of my tea guests 3 years ago as a thank you present.
Let's go in and check it out. You have so many neat nooks and crannies here. This looks like a spatial spot.
This is a special spot. It's new to the Vintage Tea Leaf. This is my new tea parlor. And even though I started the Vintage Tea Leaf 6 years ago, it had been my dream to have a little secluded space. I have my vintage piano in here that I had restored several years ago. And these ladies are enjoying a real friendship
And I
tea
just
here.
happened to notice who they are. I have to go over and say hello to them.
Excellent.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Mr. Keller.
Monica, happy birthday. Now, I have to tell you folks that Jackie was my student my first year of teaching at Warren High School. In Downey, and after I taught her so well and she went on to finish college, she came back as a drama teacher, and we were colleagues for many, many years, and Monica is still there. Hey, it's so nice to see you guys. What's up?
Same here. Oh, I just love coming here.
You come here quite often.
I try to come at least once a month. I've brought every friend I could get my hands on.
What's so special about it to you?
Beverly,
Oh,
she makes you feel warm. I used to take my drama students to England every other year, and since I'm not teaching anymore, I'm retired now, I feel like I'm back in England when I'm here. And she just gives you the ambiance, and the food and the tea is outrageous.
with you and I both being retired, I can't believe how young we must have been when when we were teaching.
15, wasn't it?
I think so. We must have been Mensa students.
Yes, yes.
Hey, good seeing you. I'm going to
Same
go
here.
and have a chat with Beverly, and I'm going to learn all about tea.
Great. It's
I-
wonderful tea.
And again, Monica, happy birthday.
Thank you.
This is a cozy little nook.
It
these
is.
these look wonderful here. What are they?
We have about 15 different tea sandwiches that I do at the Vintage Tea Leaf. We have shrimp and crab, a traditional cucumber, an English roast beast. We have smoked chicken with vintage berry jam. I have a tarragon chicken, tomato basil, which is a very traditional English tea sandwich. We have egg. We have smoked salmon.
Wow, what a! You said smoked beast. Was
roast,
that a play on?
roast beast.
Oh.
We call it roast beast.
Oh, okay.
With, and I have a special. This is a dome style tea cozy. It's always important to keep the tea warm. If it starts to get cold, it gets very bitter. And this is a very special teapot. One of the nicest things about tea is traditions, memories, and sharing with others. I have two special cups here, both of which were gifts. This is actually a very famous cup. It's been in Los Angeles Magazine under Connoisseur's Corner.
Now I notice you're pouring cream in first. Is that the proper way to do it?
Do you know, we asked tea guests if they'd like their tea white or black, and of course, if we wanted to be politically correct, we would say tea white or tea clear. But tea white means tea with milk. This is a beautiful full-bodied tea that's a custom blend of mine called Canadian Breakfast.
But you always pour the milk in before
Milk
the tea?
in first.
And the reason?
The reason is it helps to break down the tannins, which is can be, you know, the edge of the tea, and it helps to bring out the essential oils. Now, there are some people who feel it's poor etiquette to put the tea in first. They're thinking of it like salt and pepper. But actually, when the milk goes in first, it gets a better chemical reaction that helps to smooth out the tea. And I will always corrupt people to take their tea white.
How many teas do you have?
I have 121 kinds of tea, and about 30 of them are custom blends. The Canadian Breakfast has been very popular. My number one tea is surprisingly a green tea called Casablanca. It's green tea, Moroccan mint, oil of bergamot. It's yummy.
This is very good.
Thank you. A toast.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
What a wonderful way to spend an afternoon, just having tea and chatting and sandwiches. All of the food comes from your kitchen. It's all handmade.
You know, I have a beautiful kitchen because in this location there's been several restaurants. So that gives me the opportunity to do all my own baking and all my own food prep here. I do 2 different kinds of soups, 4 different kinds of salads, 15 different kinds of tea sandwiches. I bake 2 different kinds of scones every day. I make my own lemon curd and Devonshire cream, and I bake about 5 other desserts.
I've had your scones. They're to die for.
Yes. Well, you know, there's always this controversy. I noticed you said scone, which many people do, and you notice I say scone. So I have a little, I have a little riddle or saying, and I'll look into the camera and I'll tell them. The difference between a scone and a scone. A scone is similar to a stone. It's heavy as a hockey puck and dry as a tumbleweed. It's often served at coffee places that start with S, absent of warmth on a styrofoam plate. A scone is something that's been baked lovingly in this day, and it's light and fluffy, and it's served on a china plate warm with lemon curd and Devonshire cream, preferably with fabulous tea.
Wonderful. I guess I'll have to change my pronunciation now.
Sometimes I'm really mischievous and I ask people if they want a scone or a scone, and then I tell them this story and they all change and decide that they want to have a scone.
Do you have a history of this place?
What's been fascinating about the building is it was built in the late 30s, and I have tea guests that come in and keep filling in pieces of the puzzle for me. I had a gentleman who came in who talked about how he used to come here when it was a drugstore, and they had a service counter, much like Woolworths did in the old days. He used to have a girlfriend that he was smitten with and would sip sodas here at that bar, that little counter. And evidently, when it was a drugstore, it had the reputation of being the only place in town you could get grilled albacore sandwiches, which is really amazing. But then it changed drastically, and for a while it became a bar for sailors. And then it became a bar and a steakhouse called the Casbah. And evidently it had, you know, beautiful furnishings with fans that were made of grass and bamboo. And that was when they acquired these beautiful mahogany doors that are actually from the Queen Mary. They were purchased at an auction, and when it was a bar and a restaurant, they actually had a matching mahogany bar. Of course, that was taken away, but the beautiful doors are here. And so I feel this real sense of Long Beach community and the Queen Mary here.
Do remember this being an Italian restaurant at one point.
It was a very good Italian restaurant called Bravo Ristorante, and they had several good write-ups. But this particular neighborhood is heavily residential, and I think that the parking in the evening is very difficult. But during the day, most people are away with their cars, so for me, during the day, it seems perfect that tea be in this old building.
By the way, what are your hours and days of operation?
I'm open 11:30 to 6, Thursday through Monday. I'm closed on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. On those days, I will do large private parties.
Reservations required?
Reservations aren't required, but if you've got your heart set on having tea, it's always a good idea. The tea parlor has become very popular, so if you specifically want to sit here, it's good to call. There's a beautiful Queen Anne wingback chair on the mezzanine, and that chair I had reupholstered a couple of months ago. That has always been at the Vintage Tea Leaf. That belonged to my grandmother, and it used to sit in her home, and we used to take tea in that chair. And so everyone likes to sit there and feel like a queen or a princess. So if you've got your heart set on tea in a special place here, it's always a good idea. But we will graciously, seat you if we have a space.
What got you interested in teas?
I took tea with both my grandmothers from the time I was very young. And then I had the good fortune to travel in Europe 3 different times for 3 and 4 months at a time, and that is when I got a lot of exposure to different styles of tea. I was very fascinated by the tea sandwiches in France and Germany. Even though I'm English on my father's side and I'm Irish German on my mother's side, I just was fascinated by the tea culture in different countries. Certainly there's a lot of heritage with England with tea, but they're not the only country that enjoys tea. But in America, of course, we got caught drinking iced tea so often.
Yeah, that's very true, and hot tea wasn't as popular as iced tea, but now it seems like it's becoming more popular once again. Is that true?
Tea is growing in popularity. In fact, the sale of tea in the U.S. for hot tea has increased by 300% in the last 6 to 7 years. I have a theory that Americans were a little opposed to tea because of the incident at the Boston Tea Party. I don't think we should discount how much that was a barrier to this country in embracing tea and having a long heritage of tea. But then iced tea gained popularity in the 40s and 50s. But now people have access to higher quality tea, and they're fascinated by it. And of course, there's so many reports out now about the health benefits of tea.
Well, you had mentioned earlier something about the most popular is a green tea. In the back of my mind, it seems like there was a report not too long ago that this had some health benefits to it.
Actually, there's health benefits to green tea, black tea, and herbal teas. They're just different for each of them. The green tea is best known for lowering cholesterol, blood pressure. It's known to be good for certain types of cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer. But the black tea, actually, the newest studies are that it can reduce your risk of heart disease. So I have several handouts on the health benefits of black and green tea and some of the herbs, and I will give those to tea guests when they come in. But of course, I must share with you, I think the biggest health benefit of tea is to one's emotional health.
Well, now, how did you acquire the talent of making pastries, sconces, sandwiches, and all of the wonderful food that you serve here?
I must say a bit of it was trial and error. I have to be honest. My grandmother was a fabulous baker, and she owned her own cafe. And people used to drive 40, 50 miles just to have a slice of her apple pie. But I began doing teas in my home when I was a young child. And I used to do charity teas twice a year for 50 to 70 people. So I had to perfect my skills in making a variety of tea sandwiches and in large numbers and how to preserve them. Here we're rather fussy. We make tea sandwiches when people order them. We don't make them ahead in mass, because a tea sandwich always tastes better if it's lovingly prepared just before it goes on the plate. But I would say the most popular tea class I do is the one on how to prepare tea sandwiches, because so many people have had some difficulty. I helped a church organization do a tea for 150 people, and they sent four students to my tea sandwich class, and they learned how to make a variety of sandwiches, and they had a very successful fundraising tea. And so I love passing on the heritage of tea and the fine food that goes along with it.
I've heard nothing but compliments about your mushroom soup.
That is true, and no, you cannot have the recipe.
Everything always looks so good, and it's always prepared in such a beautiful way that the presentation is just really excellent.
Well, remember, we eat with our eyes first.
That's true.
The visual feast. And the nice thing about tea versus any other type of dining is you get little snippets of various tastes. But tea sandwiches can be quite filling, particularly if you eat enough of them. And I think people appreciate the slight taste variations. And of course, we're always trying to help people to find the perfect tea to go with the perfect tea luncheon. For instance, I have some smoky teas like Russian Caravan and Lapsang Souchong. And they are so wonderful with smoked salmon sandwiches, mushroom soup, or my vintage tea room salad.
Do you have a favorite sandwich?
Myself, I keep bouncing back and forth. Right now, my favorite sandwich is the cucumber. I've been enjoying that. Last month, I was enjoying the chicken tarragon. And then for my special events, I always do different sandwiches. I just finished an event for my Harvest Tea where I did pear and cheese sandwiches, and I did a special turkey with cranberry and mango chutney. It was really yummy.
Now, do you travel various places to get your tea, or is there a tea shop, or how do you acquire it?
It's a good question. I have an international tea merchant, and he was born and raised in Sri Lanka, which used to be Ceylon, and he has a direct relationship with many of the big tea estates. I don't know if you've ever heard about a famous tea purveyor in Canada called Murchie's. And my tea merchant provides about 70 to 80% of the tea to Murchie's. And the tea must be fresh in order to have this beautiful taste. And there's different grades of tea as well. Tea for a while got a very bad reputation of having more caffeine than coffee. And that is because the dust or phenning grade that's used in commercial tea bags will have a lot of tannins and a lot of caffeine. The more broken down a leaf becomes, the higher the caffeine, the higher the tannic acid.
How long can you keep tea?
Do you know, for its freshest, for black tea, you really want to have it brewing in a teapot a year, no longer than a year after it left the estate. The green teas, 5 to 6 months, and some of the herbs, 2 or 3 months. The herbs are the most volatile, and actually, if herbs are not fresh, they can have fungus or bacteria.
Give me an example of a herb tea.
Chamomile. And the best chamomile in the world is grown in Egypt. And my tea merchant assists me in getting the highest quality chamomile for my tea guests. I have a custom blend called Winter Comfort, and it has 14 different herbs in it. It's really, it's very yummy.
And how do you get your gifts in your shop? Do you gift shows?
I go to the LA Mart. This year I'm very excited. I'm actually going to go to Atlanta because I found out that they have 5 floors of nothing but gardening things. So I'm looking forward to walking around and reminiscing about the times that my mother spent out in the garden. And I'm going to start doing some gardening lectures for many people who live, in Long Beach or in, the immediate area. I don't know if you've ever been given an orchid, but I have, and I have the hardest time keeping it alive and getting it to bloom. So I think it would be nice to do a workshop on orchids, and then everyone can have scones and tea and enjoy learning about flowers.
Beverly, this has been really wonderful. I want to thank you for joining me today because I want very quickly, how do you brew the perfect cup of tea?
You start out with water that's been heated very rapidly, preferably in an electric kettle. You use a tea sock. Unfortunately, I don't have one here, but they're made of cotton. You put the leaves in there. You always want to warm the teapot slightly before you put the tea sock in. Then the hot water. Then you put the lid of the teapot on, and you let it, for most black teas, you let it sit 3 minutes. Then you take the leaves off the water. You put it in the teapot, and of course, then you cover it to keep it nice and hot.
And now you know how to brew the perfect cup of tea. Thank you for joining us, and be sure and join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're going to be looking at Casa Bonito, and I have 2 guests with me. Robert Thomas here is the owner. Welcome, Robert.
Good morning, thank you.
And Peter Cates is the one who selected the colors, and as you drive around Long Beach, if you see a Peter Cates building, you can identify it very readily. So, Peter, how did you select the colors for this building?
Well, I always try to go with a whatever theme of the building is. So this had a Spanishy Mediterranean classic style, so I went with the rich terracotta tones, which would be made of the earth and the more primitive structures.
Did you change the facade out here in any way?
We changed it cosmetically by busting out concrete, which had been put in. We put in plants against the building, and then the parkway area we broke out, put the concrete back in a stepping stone fashion with moss between and some parkway palm trees out front. My last name has no S also.
Oh,
thank you.
Okay.
A lot of people like to give me an S, but it's simple. Thanks.
All right, let's go in and look at the interior. I think Rhonda's in there, and she's waiting for us. Okay. Come on, guys.
All right.
This looks like Rhonda up here.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Rhonda. Tell us a little bit about the building.
Well, what would you like to know?
All of it.
Okay. First of all, we have this beautiful lobby, and you know, there's a lot of work been put into like bringing this back to its original beauty.
Are the chandeliers, the fireplace, the floor, are these all original?
Those are all original, absolutely.
And has this always been an apartment house?
No, actually, in the beginning, it was a hotel. I believe the name of the hotel was the Bonnie Castle.
Peter, you may know the stencil ceiling. Would this happen to be by Raven?
I don't know, but it really, when first time I saw it, I was just taken back in my mind to the Madison building on Pine Avenue.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Has this been retrofitted?
No, it didn't need to be retrofitted. It's all concrete block. I believe there was one support beam that had to be run up the center of the building, and that was all. It was originally, the foundation was originally planned for 6 to 8 stories. And apparently they ran out of money, or for some reason they topped it off at 4.
What would you consider the style of architecture?
I would say this is Spanish style, and Peter could probably do better than that.
Baroque, or
I think that's what it's termed.
okay, as opposed to Spanish revival?
I think so.
Okay. This is a beautiful building. I really do like the stencil ceilings. They really give it a dramatic look in here.
It's quite grand and unexpected when you come in the front door, and then it's vaulted and huge.
Now, did you do the interior as well as the exterior colors?
We've done a few touches on the inside. We want to do more in the lobby. We put the curtains up. Before I got here, there's been some initial just painting and kind of cleaning up. We are going to come back and spend some attention in here.
And I believe you told me earlier that is an old phone booth.
Yeah, that
over
was
there?
originally a public telephone for guests in the hotel.
Oh. And this was...
That's the concierge desk, and that's the original mailboxes. The guests of the hotel would come in and pick up their mail from there.
And I have
pretty
to ask you another question, just out of curiosity. As I look up the grand staircase up here, on the landing here, I see a little door that doesn't go all the way to the floor.
Oh, right. It looks like it's from Alice in Wonderland, but actually that's where all the electrical breakers are for the first floor.
Oh, what a neat way to hide.
Yeah, exactly.
Could we walk up here and look at the
Absolutely.
elevator? I assume this is the original elevator,
It is
too?
the original elevator. We've done a lot of work, you know, bringing it up to code, up to standard.
Oh, it must
So
be
it
in
has
use.
all, it has all, I just called it. It has all the modern microprocessors and everything now, but the look is still original.
Could we perhaps look at maybe a unit or two? I understand, oh, well, here's the elevator now. Let's
Sure.
take a quick peek at it before. Are we going anywhere when we go to a unit that we need
sure,
to get
we can
into
go
the
to
elevator?
The third floor. Would you like to go now?
Sure.
Okay, let's go.
Oh, this is quaint.
Cute.
This is original.
It is. It is. Can you push the third floor for me?
Okay, guys, here we are in the third floor, so
All right.
you
we're
have to
just
tell me
gonna
where to go.
Go down to the right, number 307.
I'll follow you. Now, how many units are there in this
There are 39 total.
39?
Right. There are 38 from the first to the fourth floor, and then we actually took a space in the basement. Excuse me, here we are, and turned it into like an industrial style.
Do you have parking here?
No, it's street parking only. There's not much of a problem. Street sweeping nights are a bit of a big deal, but we have parking close. Come on in.
There's not a lot of room to move around in here. She's got it really crammed full, but it's
Yeah,
a
she
beautiful
does.
building.
She's also a designer. She does landscape design.
Now, this is a studio.
Yes, this is a studio.
And how many studios in the building?
Let me see. How many studios? 26 studios.
And the
Yeah.
rest are one
And
bedroom?
the penthouse is a very large 2-bedroom. And then, counting the basement apartment, there are 5 one-bedrooms.
This is a beautiful little building. How many, this was built in what, 1923?
Mhm.
So in 1923, there weren't a lot of automobiles, and that's probably one of the reasons there is no parking here.
Exactly.
And that's one of the drawbacks of so many buildings in Long Beach. The
Mhm.
Cooper Arms, the Lafayette, no parking.
Right. Fortunately, there's, you know, adequate public parking lots that charge like a minimal fee, and it's really not that big of a problem.
We have two separate parking lots within one block that you can choose for $30 a month, I believe it is, for public parking.
Right.
Oh, so then you could have parking
block away.
available.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, can we go up and see your place?
Sure.
All right, now this is considered the penthouse,
This is what we call the penthouse loft.
and this is going to be your new abode?
This is where I will be, yes, absolutely. We've been working on it for about 6.5 weeks. We've had up to a crew of 12 people working here in this apartment, and we're just about done in about 2 or 3 more weeks.
And how large is it?
It's just under 1,700 square feet. We have been able to restore most of the unit without completely tearing it apart. So, for example, we were able to restore the hardwood floors in both bedrooms, and unfortunately in this room, we were not able to restore the floor because of the water damage that had happened at some point in the past. But we've put down a new hardwood floor made of quarter-sawn white oak, which is going to be beautiful, and you can see the gentlemen are here working on that today. We've also stripped down all of the original wood windows to their wood state and stained them.
And we took them out of the actual window openings. They're laid down on tables and given lots of loving, laborious care.
Is this the original crown molding?
This is the original crown molding through part of the house. What you're looking at right now is new, but through the bedrooms, we were able to keep the original crown molding.
And obviously this is a brand new kitchen.
The kitchen is pretty much brand new from top to bottom. We did tear this room all the way down to the studs. We have replumbed and rewired this entire unit. And Peter can tell you a little bit about the design work he did on the kitchen.
Peter, this is a unique little island here with a stove attached. Is that your design?
Yes, we had basically the kitchen before was about just as skinny as can be. We had one tiny little skinny door there, and we opened it up with the archway, created the island, and then we have a full-size stove with 6 burners, and we added this island one so that my thought was you do your primary cooking on 2 burners, and then Robert can be here stirring and chopping and talking to his guests or looking out across the room. So we've done that. The archway kind of gives a nice little bit of depth and division to the kitchen, but you're still very much part of the whole area.
Could we maybe walk back and check out the back part of the unit?
Sure, I think you want to see the bathrooms. They look really beautiful. We've
Okay.
done a lot of work on them.
Okay, Peter, what did you do here in the bathroom?
Basically, we've worked with what we had at hand as far as we've kept all fixtures in the same locations. We've taken the old built-in tub out, replaced it with the retro-styled new tub with the claw foot, a new Kohler sink, pedestal sink, and toilet matching. The floors and the wainscot wall we did with a white marble. There's no veins in it. We did a diagonal pattern on the floor and a brick pattern on the walls, capped with a ceramic molding on the top. I really like when we've got stone or tile on the wall. It just feels like you can clean it, and it just feels sharp. Put a soft color of paint, dimmers on all lights and speakers, and it's...
Unusual little tub.
Yeah, it's... we were wanting to put a vintage clawfoot tub in here, but they were all kind of beat up. They weren't cheap, and we could put this brand new one with the vintage style in for the same price, so we went with the brand new tub.
And this, I assume, is the master bedroom?
This is the guest room here, and again, it's got the restored windows. We've refinished the hardwood floors. This is the original crown molding that Robert spoke of a few minutes ago, and we've got our little speakers you can see hidden around here, bringing us beautiful music, which we could have on right now. This is a nice corner room. It gets a lot of good flow of air from the ocean and a beautiful tree outside there.
And this is going to be a 2-bedroom unit?
It is a 2-bedroom unit, yes. Robert has his office off-site. He does have a little office hidden away in the closet here for emergency work.
Can we see the master bedroom?
Sure, it's right there, right behind Robert. And that's where our other bathroom is, too.
Okay, this is your domain.
Yes, and unfortunately, we have not been able to do much work on the design side because the guys are here doing the hardwood floor today. We did use this room for storage. But as soon as we wrap everything up, we'll be doing all the bedroom linens. I've ordered some beautiful antique nightstands and a beautiful armoire to go in this room as well. I've also contracted a company to come out and do some custom closets that will work off Peter's design. In the bathroom here,
Great shower. I love the shower.
Thank you. We decided that we would put 5 shower heads in the shower. So we have the one old-fashioned shower head at top, and then the 4 body sprays. One of the body sprays is actually being repaired at the moment.
And because of the marble and the glass brick, you don't need a shower curtain?
Actually, what happened, we are getting a clear 3/4-inch glass shower door, but the door came in the wrong size. It's one of those little hiccups you have when you're doing a construction project like this. So we're using a shower curtain for the time being until the door is installed.
Boy, 1,700 square feet, that's a good size, that's as big as my house.
It is. It's a lot of square footage, and fortunately, in this case, it's very usable. There's not a lot of space that we won't be able to use, so I feel very fortunate that it's a really free-flowing space, and even just in the little bit of time I've been here during construction and been staying here, it feels great.
And you're still in the Wilmore Historic District?
Peter, do you know the answer to that? Because I am not sure.
I'm not sure how far it extends up. We're on 6th and Pacific right now, so I think we're pretty darn close if we're not in it.
Well, guys, I want to thank you because this is spectacular, so let us know when the grand opening is and we'll be here.
We'll do that.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time today.
Thanks.
Thank
We're
you.
glad you can come by and visit.
And don't go away, we'll be right back with more Long Beach Treasures.
A lot of things can happen in 30 seconds. Make your business happen.
Welcome back to Long Beach Treasures. Now we're going to go and visit Rose Towers, which is one of the historic sites here in Long Beach. And joining me is Chris Heister. He is an owner here, and I believe you're also the president of the Homeowners Association?
Correct.
Okay, give me a little information about the Rose Towers.
Okay. The building was built in 1928, and it was built by George Riddle, who was the architect that built a lot of the Spanish-style multifamily housing units in Long Beach. The style is Spanish Colonial Revival, and some of the interesting details of that are the asymmetrical nature of the details. The clay tile roof, the wrought iron supports that go up to the roof, the balconies that are made out of wood and also wrought iron. Some of the details include like the Moorish openings on the balconies and the deeply inset windows, the wooden doors, those types of things.
Now, it's my understanding that this is in its original condition except for the exterior stuccoing?
That's correct. It has the original clay tile roof. The building was re-tex coated in the late 80s, and we are in the process this year of getting that taken off and then replastered with the original finish.
That ought to set you back a few dollars.
Just a couple.
You have parking here for your guests, or for your owners, don't you?
That's correct. Underneath the deck area, which is in the rear of the building, there's actually underground secured parking. There's one space for every homeowner here.
Can we walk back and you can describe some of the details of the building?
Sure. The first detail is, first of all, the concrete walkway. And instead of it just being straight and narrow, it kind of gives the idea of meandering down a pathway. Part of the idea for the Spanish colonial architecture came from Spain, where they gave it sort of a picturesque village sort of look. So some of the details that reinforce that are the raised area in back, the balconies off the French doors, the exposed stairwells that come up, and just the differing, varying roof lines. Another feature of the building are the hand-painted tiles, and you'll notice those on the two rear units on the second floor, and then there's also more tile work in the stairwells up ahead.
I want to walk down here and look in one of the openings down here, because I think you said that it shows some of the original stucco as opposed to the exterior, which is now sort of just a plain type of stucco.
Correct. Hopefully your camera can pick this up. But this is an example of the original stucco finish. And the design is called Cat's Eye. And that's the finish we're going to try to replicate when we resurface the outside of the building.
And how many units do you have here?
20.
Are most of them owner-occupied?
All but 3 are, yes.
Do you have a very large turnover?
No, actually it seems to be pretty steady. I think people, you know, when they live in a building like this, they're sort of attached to the details and the charm and the architecture. And so once people move in here, they're most likely to stay.
And now you are designated, so you're bound by the Cultural Heritage Commission that you cannot change the exterior in any way without a certificate of appropriateness?
That is correct.
The windows look like they are wooden. Are these original?
There may be a few original ones left. As far as I know, a lot of them have been replaced, but they're done so in a manner that's consistent with the original type of window that was used for the building.
Okay, Chris, this is one of the larger units here in the building?
Yeah, this is one of the 4 2-bedroom, 2-bath units in the complex.
Oh, this is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. We chose this one just because of the historical accurateness of the unit. This is an example of Spanish colonial revival architecture. Some of the details are the cathedral ceiling, the hand-painted beams. This one also has the original mock fireplace, which not all the units have anymore. And some of the other details are like the niche in the wall over in the corner.
Now, were niches just to display artifacts and stuff?
Mainly, yes. It was sort of a custom back then in that style to have a small area to display objects and personal artifacts. Also, there's the French doors, which open out onto a balcony, which is again another characteristic of the Spanish colonial revival style.
It's mainly for ventilation rather than usefulness because they're very narrow, right?
Exactly, but it does, once they're open, lend the feeling of openness and airiness to the room.
Let's continue on and see what waits for us.
Okay.
This is the dining room.
Yeah, this is one of the things that distinguishes this unit from the other ones in the building is this does have a separate formal dining room.
I love the ceilings.
Yeah, it's a great, the plaster molding is a nice detail. It's kind of a cove and then a tray effect, which works very nice. Some of the other details are the hardwood floors and the rough-hewn plaster texture.
And once again, the hardwood floors are the very narrow slats.
Correct, yes.
And the kitchen over here?
Yes, that's right over this way. This kitchen also has the original tile on the countertops. This combination. Another unique feature of this particular unit is the breakfast nook with the archway and the small eating area there.
I'm surprised at the size of the unit. It's quite spacious.
Yes, it is. These are somewhere between 11 and 1,200 square feet. But yeah, for a place that was originally built as an apartment, they're pretty spacious.
And this hallway, I assume, leads to the bedrooms?
Yes, it does. The hallway here is, again, there's another niche here in the hallway, which is a characteristic of this particular style of architecture. This has a small entryway with an arch leading into the second bedroom. A nice thing about the bedrooms is just the size of them. They're very roomy, you know, as far as bedrooms go.
The plaster seems to be in excellent condition.
Yes, it is. It takes a lot of work. There's a lot of repairing and taping and plastering that goes on.
Has this been retrofitted?
For earthquake?
Yes.
No, it has not, as far as I know. So I've
And
only...
we have one more bedroom back here?
Yes, one more.
Well, first we have to check out the bathroom.
Okay, this is the bathroom here. This is one of the few bathrooms that has the original tile floor in it as well. Another distinguishing feature is the inset bathtub with the archway leading to it and the separate shower next to it.
And that looks like it's mostly original.
Yes, it is. The cabinets, I believe, I'm not sure if the tile is original or not, but the cabinet work as far as the built-ins and everything are original.
Again, it has a unique ceiling.
Yeah, the cove and the tray effect on the ceiling is another distinguishing feature here.
And this, I guess, is the master bedroom?
Yeah, this is the master bedroom here. Again, it's got the sort of entryway leading into it off the hallway and the arch. And another nice feature of it is the balcony, which opens out onto the courtyard.
That makes a nice scene, just looking out there on the courtyard.
Yeah, it does. One of the ideas of having the courtyard architecture was to lend a feeling of openness and space to the people. So although they lived in a multi-unit dwelling, when they looked out from their units, they were able to feel a sense of space and openness.
All right, let's go back down and we'll look outside.
Great.
Does the fountain work?
The fountain is not operable at the moment. That's one of our projects in the coming years, is to get that going again.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Riddle also did about 3 buildings down at the end of 3rd and Junipero?
Yes, that's correct. I believe he did the Alvarado, Casa del Patio, and Casa Nido. And then he also did a building which is the twin of this one, the Barcelona.
It's identical, except it's reversed. It faces the south and you face the north.
That's correct.
Okay. Are we going to look at another unit?
That's up to you if you have time and you want to.
have time? Sure.
Okay, well, why don't we go up here?
All right. Now, Chris, how long have you lived here?
About 2.5 years.
You enjoy it?
I love it. It's a great place. Everyone's really friendly and everybody's really supportive of everyone else here. So it makes it for a nice place to live.
Now, how big is this unit that we're going to see?
This one, it's around 950 square feet. So this one is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath.
Are these original doors?
Yes, they are. And also the original ironwork on the door as well. So this is the living room here. It's a little messy.
And again, the original hardwood floors?
Yeah, this has the original hardwood floors. Again, every unit here, one of the unique things is that everything's a little bit different. This has a little bit different ceiling treatment. It's kind of curved around the edges, and that's to accommodate the sloping roof line outside. And then this is the kitchen area here.
Wow, this is a big kitchen, isn't it? Are all of them this size?
You know, they're pretty similar as far as size. One of the nice things about the condos here are that all the rooms are pretty good size.
To me, this seems larger than the 2-bedroom we were in.
It may be this particular area, but then again, this doesn't have the eat-in breakfast nook area that the other one did. So, they're probably pretty comparable once you take those, that into
The tile looks new, is it?
Yeah, the tile was redone. Thankfully, it was done by the previous owner, so I didn't have to worry about that.
That always helps.
Yes, it does.
I see you have a niche in the hallway.
Yeah, I have a niche as well. I think every single unit has one in there. The ceiling treatment in this hallway, if the camera can pick it up, is a little bit different. It's a cove with a tray, which was similar to the bathroom of the previous one we looked in.
Are the wrought iron fixtures original?
That's not. Actually, I had a friend who got that for me up in San Francisco, so, but it looked appropriate for the building, so.
And the bathroom looks like it has had some work done on it?
Yeah, that's had new tile on the floor and the counter there. Otherwise, the rest of it, the ceiling and stuff, is original. This is the front bedroom, and this opens out to the courtyard. Again, it's kind of that feeling of openness and spaciousness. I mean, it's kind of like what you said. It's not like you could put, you know, patio furniture out here, but the feeling of it is open, and it's a beautiful view out into the courtyard.
Now, do people use your patio out there?
Yeah, they use it. We've had commitment ceremonies there. People have birthday parties. You know, it almost doesn't make a difference what it is.
Now, this courtyard housing was popular during the 20s and 30s when units faced each other with a courtyard in the middle with a green open space where people could relax and enjoy.
Right. Part of it was, I mean, obviously the weather out here is so mild and temperate that they were able to use the outdoors all year round here. But it did, despite the fact that they were in a multi-unit housing development, they were able to enjoy open space and greenery. Thank you for, you know, showing us on your show. I'd also like to invite all your guests. April 5th, which is a Saturday in the afternoon, we're going to have an open house, and that's to celebrate the building's 75th anniversary. So I'd like to welcome all your viewers to come on down in the afternoon on Saturday and take a look, and we'll be happy to show them some of the different units in here. We'll have some exhibits and displays for people to look at too.
I'll be here.
Great.
Join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're at the Long Beach Police Academy, and joining me is the director.
Coordinator, Sergeant Joe Stilanovich.
Okay. Now, how often do you have a class come through the academy?
We try to run a class, 3 classes every 2 years, excuse me.
And how many in a class?
Our maximum capacity right now is 60.
And if you have 60, how long is the training?
Currently, this class will receive 28 weeks of training or 1,080 hours.
Okay, after the 26 weeks.
28.
28 weeks.
It gets longer every day.
How many will complete the course?
It varies greatly. Incidents such as injuries, we really can't predict. Ideally, we'd have everyone complete, but traditionally, we'll lose between 10 and 15.
Now, if they go through the Long Beach Academy, do they go on the Long Beach Police Force?
Yes, right now only our agency is in the academy. At times, other agencies have put their recruits through our academy. This is only phase 1 of a 3-phase program they go through. They start here with the basic academy, where they receive all their training in everything from firearms, weaponless defense, penal code, criminal code, search and seizure law. There's quite a shopping list of things they're required to learn in this short time. After this, they go into what's phase 2, where they go into the field with a field training officer. This is someone who has been certified to train in the field, and they will receive daily observation reports and be graded every day. The third phase is continuation of the field training officer program, but it's a little less structured, and they don't receive daily evaluations at that point. They receive weekly.
So they get academic as well as physical material here.
Absolutely. We have a physical training program where they actually go out and do PT, run in the park, push-ups, also building searches. It's a very physical training process.
Is there a minimum age and education requirement to go through the academy?
You have to have a high school degree or a GED. The minimum age requirement is you have to be 20 and a half at the time you apply. So when you do graduate from the academy, you will be 21 years old. There is no maximum age.
Now, as they go through the academy, are they paid?
Yes, they are all paid recruits at this time. We have had non-sponsored through City College that do pay their own way, but everyone in the current class is receiving a paycheck.
Do you ever train officers for other police departments or sheriff's departments?
We have had other agencies in the past go through our academy, but not in a few years.
I think you have a machine called FATS.
Yes, the Firearms Action and Training Simulator.
Could we go check it out?
Absolutely.
Let's go.
This is our Firearms Automated Training System, FATS as we called it before. It is with the upgrades we have to the system, it's approximately value is $100,000. It's paid for by grant money, not out of our general fund. What it does is it can be used for target practice or actually scenarios where we'll run recruits or community members through typical police scenarios where force may be necessary. It is equipped with a sidearm, pepper spray. We can set it up for flashlight. We can do AR training on it or shotgun. It is powered by a computer back there and also CO2 canisters. The CO2 canisters are used to simulate the firing of the weapon and the cycling of a round. Also, if we wanted to, we could shoot back at you.
I'll pass.
Okay, we won't shoot back at you this time, but we're going to put you through a scenario and see how you do. Now, in this scenario, you're a police officer. They'll tell you what call you're dispatched to. You're to handle it any way you see fit. If lethal force is necessary, that's your decision you have to make. Please talk to the members of the screen, give them orders, give them commands, handle it just like it was a real-life situation. You ready?
I'll give it a shot.
You're on.
You arrive at this residence in response to a call from a frantic female requesting the assistance of the police.
Officers, they're in there. He's got a shovel. He's big.
What the hell are you doing here?
Drop your weapon.
What do you want?
Drop your weapon.
Get the out of here. There's nothing to do with you.
Drop your weapon.
What?
Drop your weapon.
This is between me and him. Get out
And
of here.
step away. Drop your weapon and step away. Now.
Out of here. What's wrong with you, Jack? I told you to get the out of here.
Step away.
Who called you anyway? Come on, get out of here. Oh, God. What? Oh, get out of here.
You keep taking charge of the situation.
Step away.
All right. I said get out of here. Now you make me get out, pal.
Drop your weapon and step away.
Outstanding job.
I'm glad that was only a demonstration. I wouldn't want to be in a real-life situation like that.
Unfortunately, that's something we have to deal with out in the field. This is only one of the tools we use to train police officers, though one of many tools we have. Next, I'm going to show you our rack house where we go through searches, simunitions training, and actual role-playing scenarios.
Okay, let's go on over.
Right this way.
Now, what are we going to see here?
Right out here we have two facilities. We have our rack house and our storefront to the left. These two buildings are used predominantly for teaching officers how to search and refining searching techniques. It's also used for simunition training, which are, in essence, paint bullets. It's paint projectiles that the officers use while training and searching, also for role-playing and scenarios. Let's go inside and take a
So
look.
this would be like searching a home?
Yes. This one is designed to be a typical Long Beach residence. The other is a storefront, and we have it set up so you can enter it from multiple locations and change it up. Many of the walls and doors you'll see in here, we can move so we can actually change the floor plan of the building, so it's not the same every time officers go in. Also, if you look up top, we have a catwalk. That's so other officers can observe while people are going in and training, and then we can later debrief and critique.
Okay, let's go on in.
Absolutely. Both of these, I want to emphasize, both of these buildings were built and designed by Long Beach police officers for Long Beach police officers. You can see here we have some furniture. That's for our scenarios also. When you go in to search a house, they might have a couch caddy corner that someone could be hiding behind. All the doors in here we've created so you can slide and make it a solid wall or a doorway. Like I was saying, we could change up the plans. Very useful facility. We're grateful to have it.
It's quite large too, actually.
Yes, it is. It's got many rooms, different types of doors, stairwells. There's a few rooms with trap doors in it. We train for any situation, and we can handle it.
Do the dogs ever train in here?
Absolutely. They'll do building searches here also. Everyone utilizes this facility.
Well, I think we have one more demonstration, do we not? The taser?
Yes, we do. Let's go over.
I'm looking forward to it.
One of the things that I like the most about Charter's cable pipeline is the fact that we no longer have to utilize our telephone lines for internet service, which for us is a godsend. Another thing that is excellent is the fact that it dials up in a matter of seconds. There's no waiting for the dial tone, there's no waiting for unfortunate busy signals, and it's there. It's accessible to us right away within a few seconds. And the downloading is so quick. So to us, that's a true godsend.
What makes Paulie's different?
Well, first of all, his coffee is fresh roasted 1,000 miles from Seattle, so we like to have coffee that's fresher and tastes better.
And we carry about 70 varieties of coffee. But the thing that I believe makes Paulie's special is the people who work at Paulie's. We're a neighborhood store. We're your family store. We know you, you know us. We'll take care of you.
We were voted the #1 coffee house in Long Beach in the recent Press Telegram poll.
Paulie's Gourmet Coffee. Doesn't get any better than this.
Couple little pressure buttons on the side. You just push it on. Once you push it on, you're going to give it a little tug just to make sure that it's on there, and you're good to go. Fire it up and you're good to go. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you just shoot at the aluminum target there. Aim it, shoot. I'll hand you another cartridge. I want you to reload and fire one more time. Go ahead and deactivate it. Whenever you, yeah, there you go. So there's no possibility. Go ahead and just drop it on the ground. Yep, another one. Okay. Good job.
That's why we're not getting rid of it. You said that arcing lasts for 5 seconds. I would think that would be the longest 5 seconds of anybody's life.
Yes, it would be a long time. But for any further questions, I'm going to refer to Officer Steve Lassiter. He's part of our AOTC Advanced Officer Training class out here, and our lead instructor and taser.
Now this looks like it'd be a pretty effective weapon.
Yeah, yes, it is a pretty effective weapon. It's more effective than the old tasers because of the fact that it works on a higher wattage. And so what that means is that it affects both the sensory and the motor nervous system, which means that where the old system just affected the sensory motor nervous system, which basically was a pain compliance tool, this basically interferes with the brain's ability to communicate with the muscles. So it takes away a person's ability to tell their muscles what to do in the affected area. So it overrides that system, totally incapacitating them.
What's the maximum distance?
21 feet.
So now, when you fire the weapon, it has 2 probes that goes into the...
Yes, you're basically, it fires out 2 probes that are tethered, as you can see here, to 21 feet of wire. The 2 probes, basically, when they strike the target, the electrical impulses are sent down the wires. They go to a probe, and then they transfer to another probe. You're basically completing a circuit.
If someone would be shot with one of these, how long would they be incapacitated for?
Well, the weapon cycles for 5 seconds unless you turn it off before that. So during the 5-second period, theoretically, they should be incapacitated. And then immediately upon the cycle ending, the effects cease. Well, right now the Long Beach Police Department deploys, I believe it's 2 tasers for each division. They are in the sergeant's cars. And what we had going on today here was a qualification course. The officers come in, they go through approximately 4 to 5 hours of training, classroom training, and then they have to actually shoot the taser as a part of the qualification course. So we were basically just qualifying new users in the use of the M26 taser.
All right, I think we're now going to head over to the pistol range, and that's our next assignment. So thank you. Okay, here we are now at the firing range at the Academy, and with me is
Robert Razzo.
And you're going to tell us about the less than lethal, and we're going to have a demonstration?
Yes, we will.
What is less than lethal?
It is technology of bringing somebody into custody. Some of the tactics and devices, we call them less than lethal because potentially they could be lethal, but they are not designed to be that way.
Do you have a different target area than you would for lethal weapons?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, no, because the largest targets in some cases, different weapons require different targeting areas because of the way they work.
No, you used to just have the bean bags, and now you have some new ones?
Yes, we have 37 millimeter projectiles.
Okay, could we then maybe get a demonstration?
Sure, no problem.
All right.
Suspect, drop the knife or I'll shoot you with a rubber bullet.
Now this may be less than lethal, but it sure looks like it would probably hurt.
Yes, it hurts quite a bit, which is why it works.
Okay. And this is the rifle that you use for this particular one. Is this what you use for all of the less than lethal?
Not all of the less than lethal we use with this rifle, but this is one of the systems we use. We also use the shotgun beanbag round. Something like this would be considered like being hit with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
Wow, that ought to slow somebody down.
It does.
Okay, now we're going to watch you do a different less than lethal demonstration.
Yes, one of our other SWAT officers is going to shoot the less lethal beanbag round.
Super, thanks.
Suspect, drop the stick or I'll shoot you with the beanbag.
Now, the beanbag is much smaller than the first demonstration. Which one's more effective, or would it just depend upon the circumstances?
It's going to depend upon the circumstances. They've got different applications. Obviously, this hits much harder than this one does, but different applications, different tools.
And this is the rifle that you use for this less than lethal device?
Correct, just a standard Remington 870 shotgun, pump shotgun.
All right. Thanks, guys, for the demonstration. Appreciate it.
No problem.
In 1995, I went through the first Citizens Police Academy here at the Police Academy. It was really a great experience, and I really learned a lot. And this is Sergeant O'Donnell. So, Sergeant, I'm sure you still have this Citizens Academy going?
Yes, we do. The 12th Community Academy is in session as we speak. It's held every Wednesday night from 6:30 to 9:30, and it's based on a semester basis. So we have one class per semester, and that's through Long Beach City College.
And how would somebody go about if they wanted to be a member of the next class?
The next class, we advertise it in a couple different spots. We do it throughout the community, local churches. We do it also from the website, the departmental website, and that's at www.longbeachpd.org. And that's Long Beach, LONGBEACH, PD.org. Just click on the Community Academy. You can get the application right off the website, download it, and either send it through the web or send it to us in the mail.
Is there a minimum age or any special requirements?
There's a 18 years of age or a city college student. And they do a background check, which is a fingerprint check, to make sure that they don't have a major criminal history.
Well, I think what I liked best about going through the academy was that we didn't have to go through any of the physical training.
Well, there's no physical training, but I think that everybody who's attended it finds that it's what I call a virtual tour of the Long Beach Police Department, where each detail or training division comes in from homicide, from sex crimes, to the training division, actually, where everybody comes in, unpacks their bag one night out of the 15 weeks and talks about what the different parts of the police department do. And from that, a lot of times we get people that attend the class end up being community leaders, and they end up being able to solve problems within their community.
Two of the things that I especially liked was the firing range and also the canine demonstration.
Yeah, we have an actual day that we do at the firing range where they come out with a certified instructor, and they have the, if they so choose to shoot the weapon, they have the opportunity to do that. And they go through a lot of the things that the regular officers do in the academy. We try to put them through, but under a controlled situation with a trained professional instructor with them.
So if anybody wants to join the next class, just log on and sign up.
Log on, or they feel free to call the police academy. We strongly encourage all community members. We try to get a cross-section from throughout the community in order to make every class, so we draw from the different parts of the community, and we learn from other problems. Like if somebody from the west side has experienced a problem that a resident from the east side hasn't, we try to talk about problems and interact. And I think you'll also get to meet other people in the class in the future that'll end up being leaders in Long Beach, and we'll be able to solve problems both with the department in partnership with the community to solve problems for everybody.
Thanks, Sergeant O'Donnell. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we're here at the pistol range. Do the officers have to keep qualified?
Police combat and target range. The police officer are required to qualify 4 times a year. We alternate between a 50-round target course, where the officers shoot from the 25-yard line, the 15-yard line, the 7 and the 5. And also on the off quarters, they are required to do a combat course, and we mix that up. That can include the shotgun, shooting through from a car door, laying prone behind a mailbox, and with some action and running involved. And every officer is required to qualify every quarter.
Do officers have to buy their own weapons, or are they furnished?
The department will furnish a weapon. However, most officers choose to buy their own, what they're comfortable with.
Okay. All right, let's go up front and look around. Now, this is part of the present academic class?
Yes, this is 2/3 of our recruits are present here today. The other third's in EVOC, Emergency Vehicle Operations Center in San Bernardino.
Now, I saw one girl. Is there more than one?
We have 2 females currently enrolled in the academy.
Now, this reminds me of boot camp.
We do run a paramilitary disciplined academy here. We feel that discipline and self-discipline is very important.
They never know what to expect, do they?
We try to switch it up to keep them on their toes. Today they're in their physical training gear because they have first aid training where they're actually giving CPR and many other activities.
Now, the one yelling the commands, is he the...
He is the class commander this week. We rotate the commander position and who has to be a leader to develop all of them. We feel like Napoleon Bonaparte once said that every one of his soldiers had a commander's baton in his backpack. Any one of our officers can take care of any situation and lead if necessary.
Some of them look so young.
Some are right at that 20 and a half category, but they all be 21 when they graduate. Our oldest one in this class is 42. We have 3 over the age of 40.
Is there an age limit?
There is no age limit.
I could apply?
You come on out. I'll run you through the obstacle course today if you like.
But I'd never make the run to the sea.
That is a little bit of a hard one. That's 7.65 miles. That's our graduation run.
I couldn't even bicycle it.
Well, we'd love to have you if you'd come out for it.
Thanks.
Oh, seats. Seats. Up, up, line. Good boy. Seats. Seats. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. That's a good boy. Focus, slow. Turn up. Oh, hey. Good boy. Cross. Oh, that's a good boy. That's a good boy. Good boy. Oh, good boy. You're ready. Turtle, here. Cuts, cuts. Sit here, Long Beach Police Canine. Come out now before you send the dog. Dog finds you, will bite you. Leave it. Go. Check it. Reader. That's the boy, good boy! Good boy! That's the boy! Good boy.
Suspect attacks them, runs, or
Yeah. Hey, you come here, I'll send my dog! Hey, you come here, I'll send my dog! Good boy! That's a good boy! Good boy!
He doesn't let go, does he?
Great demo, guys. Thank you. Introduce yourselves.
I'm Officer Andy Van Holt, and this is Officer Ernie Willis Evans. Yes.
All right. Tell us a little bit about what just happened.
Well, what we did is ran the dog through what we call an obstacle course. The first demonstration was that of the barrels, in which the dog is off leash and has to go to the top of the barrels and lay down at the top of the barrel and then come down. And what that does is usually show control of the dog, that you have over the dog without the leash on it. So if you're ever in a field situation, that you have control over your dog without the leash on. And then the same thing goes for the rest, where we have the dog go through the barrel, up the platform, and sit at the top of the platform and then lay down, and then jump the 4-foot fence there. And then after the 4-foot fence, we go into the barrel, which just shows that the dog is not afraid to go into dark places.
And when you were hiding, he found you.
Yes. Dogs are really good at using their nose. A lot of time what we do is this will simulate an area search where supposedly a suspect went and hid in a field and hiding behind some box or maybe in a house, and this is kind of one of the ways we train to have him go out, do an area search, and find and alert on the suspect.
Now, when you were in the suit and he was grabbing and biting at your arm, would they continue to bite, or is it just a grab and hold?
The exercise you saw there simulated a directed attack on a person who had a weapon. In this case, it happened to be a stick. The dogs are not afraid of guns or knives or sticks. They'll go and attack. And in answer to your question, will they continue to bite or will they grab and hold? What they do is once they've locked on, the training that we give them is to maintain that one bite and not let go of it. And you saw there, even though it looked like I was hitting him really hard, the stick looks like it simulates, but it's bamboo and it's flexible. But it'll show you how he'll stay on the fight and not let go until the suspect gives up or we're able to take control of him.
What kind of dog is this?
He is a Dutch Shepherd from Holland.
And I assume they're expensive. Now, who buys the dogs?
Actually, the city does not pay for the dogs. We, as individual handlers, pay for the dogs with the help of the Long Beach Canine Association.
So then you have to be dedicated to spend all this money for the dog equipment?
Yes, he's about $6,500, and I had to pay $3,000 of my own money just for the dog. That's not including any equipment that comes with the dog.
Do you have any children at home?
No.
I was just wondering, how would they get along well with small children?
They get along great with other dogs and as well as small children. Officer Willis-Evans here has 3 children at home. He doesn't have any problems with his dog.
And what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Dutch Shepherd. Actually, his breed is a Grudendal, but it's very similar to a Dutch Shepherd.
Mm.
He's 9 years old and still working hard.
How often do you have to work the dogs?
They need to be trained every day. Even on your days off, you have to do some type of training with them. They enjoy it. That's what they've been bred to do, and when you train with them, that's your bonding period with them, and they really have a good time.
Could we walk over and look at the headstones of some of the canines that have given their all for duty?
Of course we can.
Okay, now the dogs that are memorialized here, did they all lose their life in active duty?
Not all of them. Actually, very few of them lost their lives on the job, in a search or with a suspect. Most of these dogs here died of old age or some type of injury or not related to working exactly that day.
And it's my understanding that the remains of the dogs are embedded in the headstone so that if it becomes necessary to relocate, it becomes an easier task?
Yes, there's a gentleman that after we've cremated the dogs, we'll take the ashes, mix it in with the cement, make that block that you've seen there, and we'll put a plaque on it. So it makes it easier for us to move them if in fact we have to relocate our little cemetery here.
Well, thank you for joining us today. This has been most interesting, and this is quite a nice memorial for the Canine Corps.
It's very nice. We really appreciate the memorial.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I really want to thank you for all of your guiding me around today, because I've seen a lot that I don't think a lot of people ever have an opportunity to see. Do you ever have open house for the general public to come out and see your facility?
We don't have an open house, but anyone who's interested can partake in the Community Academy. And as Sergeant O'Donnell said earlier, that is a virtual tour of the police department, and they will get to see the entire facility and much of the training we go through.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Welcome back anytime.
Thank you. And be sure and join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today I'm standing close to the intersection of 6th and Alamedas. In 1913 to 1918, the glorious years of Hollywood here in Long Beach were centered at the Balboa Studios. They had all 4 corners of 6th Street, 8 acres in total, with 11 acres for night shooting up on Signal Hill. Some of the stars that were attached to Balboa Studio: Fatty Arbuckle, Pearl White, Theda Bara. The building across the street used to be Joe's Restaurant. There the dishes were named for the stars that were here at the Balboa Studios. You might be able to get a Jackie Saunders special, an Arbuckle appetizer. You might be able to get Pearl White to autograph your hamburger bun. This was the glorious years here in Long Beach, and the movie industry prospered. Right now, it is the home of MOLA, the Museum of Latin American Art. And today we're going to go in and we're going to visit the museum and see what it's all about. So if you'll follow me, we'll go on in and we'll meet the director and we'll take a tour of the Museum of Latin American Art. And joining me now is the director of MOLA, Gregorio Luke. Thank you for joining us today. Would you give us a little history of the museum?
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here. And the museum is relatively new. It only has 5 years, but the building where we are, or the place where we are, has an important role in the history of Long Beach. This used to be the Balboa Film Studios at the early 20th century.
Yeah, I mentioned that on the outside.
And then it became the Hippodrome skating rink. A lot of couples met here. And then it was a health center by FHP. And in those days, the chairman of that organization, which is the same person that is our chairman, Dr. Robert Gumbiner, believed that art was a force to heal people, that it was a good way to, inspire the community, and they began to collect art in their galleries. And then eventually this became a collection of Latin American art, because it was the one that had the most color, it had an identity. And so that is how we began, with this collection that I think is unique in the country, because it focuses on the contemporary arts of Latin America from 1945 to the present. And we collect art from Mexico, the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, to Central and South America, as well as Brazil. And it's always art that is contemporary. It's mostly painting and sculpture. And it is one of the most forceful and beautiful artistic expressions anywhere.
So this is really a unique museum in that there are not a lot of museums totally dedicated to Latin American art.
I can tell you that we are the only museum in the Western United States that is dedicated exclusively to contemporary Latin American fine art. And we're one of the only ones in the country. And I would say that here the important thing is that the museum has a focus. Sometimes if you try to do everything, you end up doing nothing. And so I've seen several museums that attempt to show Latin American art, but then they end up like collecting an Aztec sculpture, a piece from the 17th century, and then 2 modern pieces, and they don't have depth in any of these fields. But us, because we focus on a certain area on a certain period of time, we're gradually building a collection that is becoming representative and significant. On the other hand, a great advantage of collecting art that is relatively recent, 1945 to the present, is that most of the artists that we present are alive. And so this allows us frequently to invite the artists themselves to come when we have openings and so on, and to talk about their art. Besides, it also is very important for the artists. We see how many museums are full of opportunity for the famous and the dead. You find that most of the artists are shown are no longer alive. Well, the artists that we show are alive, and so this is helpful because it gives those artists the platform. Most of them are well known in their countries, but not in the United States. So the museum develops an important mission in terms of introducing the American audience to a vibrant art form, and also of becoming a source of opportunity for many artists, many talented artists, that can, through the museum, reach out to the American public.
As we're talking about the museum and your programs and stuff, could we wander through the museum while we're talking and
Absolutely.
see what you have here?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, this is the first gallery here at the museum?
Yes, originally we started out with only these 2 galleries. Now the museum has expanded. And here, what we're looking at right now is a show on graphic art. Graphic art means that there's, there are either lithographs or serigraphs, and the artist does several of each. And the museum has been trying to promote graphic art. First, because it's a form that has acquired great quality in Latin America. And secondly, because it's very accessible. You can get a piece by a very famous artist for a relatively inexpensive amount of money. We recently had a very successful art auction that was our fundraiser of the year, in which, the people could actually buy art that was donated from all over the continent. And here, this is an exhibit in which we have put together examples of graphic art from all over the continent. This is an important show for us because it is our first traveling show. That is, after being here at the museum, it will be going to, right now, 6 museums across the country, maybe more. And everywhere where they present the show, they will talk about Long Beach, they will talk about the museum.
How often do you change your exhibits?
We try to change the museums approximately 3 times a year. Sometimes, you know, we get an opportunity to add another show or so, but I would say that, that we have our temporary exhibits, we have about 3 a year. Now, in addition to that, we have our permanent collection, but I must say that even the permanent collection is also changing. We don't want to be a static museum. We try that even within the permanent collection, we rotate the pieces. So most of the time, people that come to MOLA see something different, whether it is because our temporary shows are different, or even because our permanent collection is, you know, changing and including other works. We only display about half, or probably less than half, of the pieces that the museum has in its permanent collection.
So, in the different galleries that you have here, you have different exhibits in the different galleries?
Absolutely. As we enter into the other section of the museum, we see some pieces that belong to the Smithsonian Institution. The museum is an affiliate of the Smithsonian. This means that we can borrow some of their works. And here you see some masterpieces by artists like Botero or Tamayo or Mata or, you know, many others. And this is also an indication of the museum's growing prestige and recognition that the Smithsonian considers us worthy of holding pieces that are national treasures on a long-term basis.
Now, you profiled Latin American countries.
Exactly.
South America, Cuba.
Cuba, we were one of the first museums to present a large exhibit by the work of artists that are living and working in Cuba, which was very successful. People were very interested. There's a lot of art developing there, and we were very happy to be able to show that work. We've also have pieces by, you know, and we've had exhibits of the Dominican Republic, of Argentina, Central America. This is another of our temporary galleries. That means that these are this art, we do not own it. It is, you know, brought to us.
All by the same artist or various artists?
This one is by the same artist. Sometimes the shows could be about a movement in which, or a country. No, in this case, we see the work of a young Mexican sculptor whose name is Jorge Marin. And interestingly, this man did not go to art school. What he did is that he studied restoration. And so he learned how to restore these objects. And so in a way, the objects, in this case, he worked a lot with colonial religious sculpture.
Do you know his age?
He's about 38 or so.
Young man.
Very young. And so he studied all these pieces, and he was describing how, in a way, the objects themselves became his teacher. You know, he learned how to use this, and so he applies some of these techniques. He also is very good at combining different symbols. If you look at the works, you see especially like masks that are characteristics of the carnival in Italy, in Venice. And he uses that, also elements like wings or, you know, the fish elements.
Yes, I notice on a lot of the sculptures he has the peaked nose.
Mask.
Is that a mask?
That is a mask.
Ah.
And, well, what he always has refused to give a fixed explanation. No? Sometimes people say, well, what did he mean? He says, well, it doesn't really mean one thing. It can mean several things. But the reason that he uses it is because he feels that it gives the figure a freshness. It makes you look at it, you know, and look at it twice. No? It is also remarkable how this young man's command of the technique. If you look at some of these pieces, they're extraordinary, and some of them are done by memory. In other words,
Are
without
these
a model.
bronze, by the way?
Yes, these are bronzes. We will soon be having an exhibit by the very famous artist Botero of Colombia that perhaps our friends recognize. He does these very fat figures, or shall we say rotund images. No? You know, and it was interesting how some people say that in a way these images are a reflection of a lot of the way that we're becoming nowadays. No? Here you have a sculpture by Botero.
They are a little rotund, aren't they?
A little rotund, yes.
Now,
He also incorporates a lot of humor. I think it's going to be a very popular show. We have a couple of drawings and paintings of his work over here.
The art in here I see is, are these from Ecuador and Colombia?
Yes, we're entering now our permanent collection. And so these are works that either are from our collection or are on long-term loan. This is another piece by Botero, and you'll find it very funny. It's a dog that is turning the curve. And so you see the
tail?
The tail of the dog, no?
Now, I'm going to assume this is by him also, since
Yes,
it's sort of a...
Here you have another typical drawing of these very fat ladies or families. And so we're going to have a whole show of his in the summer, and we expect it to be very, very popular. So we invite everybody to... That'll be in
It should
July.
be an amusing show.
Oh, absolutely. He was, in an interview, he was explaining how when he began his career, he was not very good at drawing, and he was trying to do this guitar, and he kept making the whole of the guitar smaller, and people found that hilarious. And so then he started, figuring out that, that there was something there, no? But we have got many, many works, very interesting. This you see are the Peruvian artists. That one over there is Fernando de Cislo, who is an abstract artist, but most abstract artists are flat. What I mean is that they do not use perspective, but this guy does. You look at that, it seems like a depth of field, and these kind of like monoliths at the front somehow reminds us of pre-Hispanic culture, like the Incas or whatever, no?
Are any of these for sale, or are they just part of the collection?
No. These pieces are part of our permanent collection, and they are on display at the museum. There you have another artist called Chavez. And this man, when he was a very young boy, was very poor. And so he was an orphan, and he went every Sunday and looked at the carousels of the horses. And he could never ride it. He never had the money to. And then when he became a famous artist, he does these fantastic carousels that are kind of a recreation of his dreams as a young boy. And many others. There you have an image that is also very interesting about a man that is wrestling with himself. It seems to me that, see, what happens with Latin American art is that it seems to me that in most of the art world, you seem to have two types. One is a very conservative type of art, with the technique of doing landscapes and this and there. And the other is like totally modern, out there. You have avant-garde, and sometimes people don't really connect. They see this. And you either have one or the other. And what is so fascinating about Latin American art is that you have, in a way, works of art that are at the same time very traditional and very innovative. In other words, you don't have to choose, but sometimes you look at pieces that look very modern and also have great quality of drawing and perspective and use of color and so on.
Would this be an example, because you have the head and body of a man and the body of an animal?
This is a kind of a surreal painting, in which you see this kind of a mixture, seems like a dog to me. And so there's all kinds. You also have abstract art in which you just have color, or you have a combination of things. But what I do find is that you don't need to be Latin American to connect with Latin American art. As a matter of fact, about half of our members are not Latin American, are people that are, German or Irish or Italian descent, but connect a lot with Latin America. Because Latin America, if you think of it, is really a continent in which you have a lot of mixtures, like you do in the U.S., but probably even broader than the U.S., because you also incorporate all the great Indian civilizations. You know, in Latin America, you have a combination of these things. No?
I'm not an artist. I'm not familiar with art, but there seems to be a unique quality with these paintings that's sort of identifiable as a nation, as a...
Yes, you know, now Latin America itself is different. I mean, there's a great difference of a country like, say, Mexico or Central, you know, or Guatemala that have a very strong Indian presence, and a country like Argentina that is almost exclusively European, or a country like Brazil that has a predominantly African influence, or the Caribbean. But yes, if there are also elements that are common. Most of the countries in Latin America, you have, you know, the Spanish, the use of the Spanish language, and the influence of the Spanish culture. You also have other elements, you know, the presence of the, you know, Catholic Church. This is an example of an Argentinian work by an artist called Marta Minujín. She's from Argentina. It was an ordeal to bring this piece.
I can imagine it's quite large, and I imagine it's quite heavy, isn't it?
Yes, and I must say that to do or to put together this collection is also a fascinating story, because some of this art, well, now it's becoming a little bit more popular, and you can find it in some galleries, but most of it, what we had is Dr. Gumbeiner actually going to the different countries, speaking with the artists, and then bringing them. He has a small plane, and he still does this now, going to the country, speaking with the dealers, speaking with the artists, and bringing art that almost nobody knew here. Now it's becoming more popular, and we hope that the museum, as it's expanding, because we are about to begin completing the building of this museum, and we would like to take this opportunity to invite all of our friends that are seeing us to become active in this.
Why don't you give us an idea of membership and how they can become members of your museum?
Absolutely. The museum offers several levels of membership. I believe anywhere from an individual membership for about $40, $45 to, you know, a director's circle that could be about $1,000 or more if anybody wants to. And I really recommend you to join the museum. I can tell you I do not know of any museum that is more fun than us, because in addition to our exhibits, we believe that we are in the entertainment sector. In other words, our competitors are not necessarily other museums. Our competitors are the TV, are the movies, and so we try to incorporate this. We keep long hours. The museum is only closed on Mondays.
I was reading the brochure, and you're open every day and evenings.
And we're opening until 7, and we have a lot of events. In addition to our exhibits, I was saying we have here concerts in which we have the best music you can imagine. We have very affordable, we have lectures, we have movies, we have a lot of workshops for the kids. Sundays we have non-stop activity. We have a great restaurant that is open for lunch every day and brunch on weekends. We have a great store that we manage.
And do you have the activities in the galleries themselves? Or?
No, we have a multi-purpose center that's called the Balboa Center that I will be glad to share with you. And so here we teach everything. We have classes of art history, workshops. We even have dance classes, and we have wine tastings and tequila tastings. We have. And we celebrate Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. Now in May, we're teaming up with the Long Beach Symphony, and we're going to have a huge concert in which the new conductor of the Philharmonic, wonderful Dimec, he's going to create a piece about the Battle of Cinco de Mayo. So we're going to have here the full symphony, May 3rd, I believe.
In the museum?
Yes, 80 musicians.
Wow.
And it's going to sound like you've never heard it before because it's the proximity of it. And we've had here stand-up comedy, We've had jazz, all kinds of things. Networks of friends, of volunteers. So I really invite everybody to join the museum. We have abundant parking lot. It's, I would say, not just a museum, but a way of life. If you join the museum, bye-bye loneliness. Here you will find friends, you will have things to do, you will be able to be a part of a wonderful, vibrant project that I'm sure will fill you with experiences and with excitement. And I must say that the museum is growing. We are about to begin doing a new facade of the museum. We want to build a library. We want to do a garden where we're going to have sculptures and all this. So MOLA is going to become one of the jewels of Long Beach and of California. And we invite everybody, all of us who are seeing us, to come to MOLA. We are in 7th and Alamitos. We're open Tuesday to Sundays. And we have a lot of surprises, wonderful art, friendly facility, and it's definitely the place to be. You can have your family here, you can meet people, you can have a great time.
I assume, like most nonprofits, you are always looking for volunteers.
We always are looking for volunteers, for docents. If any of you out there is a retired professor or is articulate or would like to learn about art, we have a docent program in which you can learn about art and then help us conduct tours. And then we have also a very interesting volunteer program in which you can do everything from helping us set up for the events, helping us prepare the mail-outs, helping us selling tickets when we have our major fundraisers, help us in the workshops for kids. So yes, we have volunteers, we have docents. We are always looking for people to help us support this museum. If you believe in the arts, this is a wonderful place where you can make a difference and where you can support us and help us make Long Beach a better place. I strongly believe that precisely now, because our city is facing difficult times, as we all know, is when we should support the arts more than ever. Because the arts represent the future of our city. If you see how the city has been transforming itself, we are becoming more and more a city that is oriented towards services. We're trying to attract tourism. Now, where are the tourists going to go? We have to have museums. We have to have cultural activities. Besides, culture is a way to relieve stress, to bring families together. It helps our children. So it's something that we must support vigorously now more than ever, because it is the future. It is the future for our city. It is something that is good for our families. It's good for ourselves.
Now, this is your multi-purpose room?
Exactly. This is what we call the Balboa Studios.
Is this... I thought that there was a portion back here that was part of the original Balboa studio. Am I wrong?
This is it.
This was the
exactly
studio.
And we've maintained the structure that you see. We've only added a couple of things, to improve the acoustics. And here we have everything. We have all kinds of events, as I was saying. We have concerts, we have lectures, we have small dance performances and concerts. But we also have social activities. So sometimes people that want to support the museum, they can, even get married here. They can have a function or dinner here, and all those proceeds also benefit the sustenance of our institution.
Is this where the Philharmonic will be playing?
Exactly. So can you imagine the May 3rd, put it all in your calendar. Can you imagine in this space having 80 musicians playing at full volume? It's going to be thrilling. I think
that might raise the roof.
Oh boy, the intensity is going to be more than a rock concert. So we're very excited. And besides, you're going to get a chance to see them up close. It's going to be something that is exciting.
Was the main gate for Balboa Studio right out here on 6th Street?
Yes.
I understand that when Fatty Arbuckle's car used to drive in, he used to throw quarters out to the kids. And that way, with the quarter, they could take the entire family to the movie that evening.
Poor Fatty. I always felt that his spirit of laughter still inhabits us, And unfortunately, his career was, shortened by a unfair accusation. But but his happiness, his spirit, his warm heart still inspires us, and you can still feel it. Some people say that they come here and they see the shadow of Fatty some places. Let me show you, though, what we're doing in the future.
We've just got about a minute left.
All right. Okay, well, maybe then we'll leave it at that.
What?
We're going to do a garden sculpture. Right now it's only a piece of land, but we want to do a space that's going to have an amphitheater. It's going to have sculptures and a garden, and it's going to be like a little oasis within the city. Let me quickly show you. Well, this that you see here is going to become the first sculpture, garden, multi-purpose space of Latin American sculpture in the country. We're going to, open all this space. We're going to put some sculptures here. We're going to have a little amphitheater, and it's going to be an oasis in the middle of the city in downtown Long Beach. We're going to have a place where you can come and you can think and you can enjoy the art and nature and bring your family. We need this more than ever. The peace of the spirit is going to be in this wonderful space, and the ancient king Netzahualcoyotl said, when humanity creates the garden, he separates the beautiful from the useful.
I want to thank you for joining me today. This has been most enlightening, and I hope all of our viewers who have not ever been here will come down and see what a great facility you have here.
Please come, tell your friends and family. We want you to be part of MOLA.
And be sure and join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures.